Alright, in this video you should, actually before we get started, you should have all of your parts created and saved inside of your folder. Now your folder may be a different name, but you should have all the parts for your box created. There's 4 total: the bottom, the front, just 1 for the left and the right because they're the exact same, and then your top. While we're talking about the top, remember that you may not have any holes in the top of yours yet for your followers because you don't maybe know exactly what you're going to be doing just yet. So we will probably end up coming back and editing the top. But in this video I'm going to show you how to put all of this together to create an assembly of the box. So the first thing we're going to do is a new English template, and then we're going to move down to assembly and go to standard inch IAM. See the building blocks, kind of shows you how parts are being put together, and then I'm going to hit create. And then again, whenever we start a new file, the first thing we do is a save as. So file, save as, and you need to make sure that you're saving in the folder wherever all those parts are at. It has to go in the same folder. That is very important. So you want to drop this down, go navigate to your student folder, and wherever those 4 parts are saved, that's where this needs to be saved. And then what I'm going to do is just call this box assembly. And actually, no, let's call it Automata assembly, because we're going to be adding parts to this later on once we get everything else done. So we'll call it that, make sure it's going into the correct folder, and then hit save. So we have a blank assembly file, so we need to start bringing in your parts. So I'm going to start with the bottom of the box. So I'm going to go up here to this big button on the left where it says place, and it says place component. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go navigate to wherever your files are at. So you should have your parts, and you'll notice that now the assembly is in there. And I'm going to start with the bottom. So I'm going to hit open. I'm going to zoom out. You'll notice that we're in a front view. I'm going to hit the home button over here, and that switches me to the southeast isometric view. And I'm just going to left click once to add this part. If you move your mouse, you can add more, but I'm going to just go ahead and hit escape. So now that we've added our first part, it's very important in assemblies and Inventor, and a lot of people always forget this, to ground the first part you bring in, because we're going to assemble everything else around this. So I'm going to right click the part, and I'm going to choose grounded. As soon as I do that, you'll notice that over here in my model browser for the assembly, there's a push pin on the bottom part. So what the grounding does is it doesn't allow you to move this part at all. It locks it in at 0, 0, 0, and then you can build everything around that. That is highly important. Alright, so now let's place in all, let's bring in some other components. Let's go and bring in the sides. So I'm going to go left and right, and I'm going to hit open. And now I need 2 of these, so I'm going to have one over here, and I'm going to left click over here to add those in. And then while we're at it, let's go place, and I'm going to bring in the front. I'm going to hit open, and I'm going to put that over here. Alright, and then hit escape. We'll do the top later. Let's get these going first. So let's use constraints. So again, constraints are up here in the assemble ribbon. Those allow me to lock those parts in place and assemble it onto the bottom piece. So constraining will lock those parts in where you want them. Under the assembly tab up top here, you have some different ones. You have mate, angle, and so on. We're going to be just using the mate constraint. And within the mate, you have where you can mate them face to face like this, like opposite of each other, or you can make it flush with each other. So the first, I'm going to start with this side piece. Remember, shift in the mouse wheel, and the first thing I want to do is mate this bottom face right there to this top face of the bottom using this mate constraint right here. So while I'm in that, I'm going to orbit underneath. I'm going to click this face. Make sure it's on the face, not an edge. Okay, so face. I'm going to orbit around. I'm going to click the top face of this. So you'll notice right away that it mated those 2. And then I'm going to hit apply. While I'm still in this, I want to mate this face to this face. So I'm going to go here and then here. And then actually I wanted that to be flush, not opposed. So if I hit the flush, you'll see now they're flush with one another. So I can always adjust that before I hit the apply to fix it. So I hit apply there. And now I'm going to orbit around. Now I want this to be flush with this. So I'm going to click and click and then hit apply. I'm going to close that for a second. And you'll notice that if I go and try and move this, I get the do not enter sign because it's not going to let me move that. Alright, let's go ahead and do the back. So the first thing I'm going to do is constrain the bottom right here to the top right here. Alright, so I'm going to go constrain. I'm going to use the mate and the mate. I'm going to orbit underneath. I'm going to click this bottom face, orbit back up, click the top face here. Hit apply. Then I'm going to mate this face right here to this face. So let's go ahead and do that. So this one to this one. And again, those are like opposed to one another. You're using the mate. And then I'm going to go to the back of the front of this thing. And I'm going to click on this face. And I want to make it flush. So I switch to flush with this face. And then hit apply. Now if I close this out and I try and move this, it's not letting me move it because it's fully constrained. Alright, let's do the last side piece here and then we'll bring in the top. So constrain this face to this face, hit apply. Then I'm going to do a flush with this to this, hit apply, and another flush with this to this. Hit apply. And I'm just going to double check, make sure nothing's interfering with other parts. If you hover over them, it'll highlight red so you kind of see that. Make sure everything looks good. I always do a click and drag test. If I can't move the parts, then I'm good. I know that they are fully constrained. Last piece we need to bring in is the top. So I'm going to go place, bring in the top, hit open. Click once, hit escape, constrain. I'm going to start with this left face here, and I'm going to go flush with this left face. Notice it doesn't really look like it did much, but it will in a second. I'm going to hit apply, and then I'm going to do this face with this face. Hit apply, and the last one I need to do is from here to any one of these faces. It could be this one, it could be this one, it could be this one, doesn't matter. And hit apply. Something didn't like that. Oh, did I not? Let's do, it should be a mate. Sorry, that one should be a mate. Let me try it again. So there to there. There we go. And I'm going to apply. So now if I do the click and drag test, it doesn't move. I'm going to hit save. Take an orbit around, you can look at that thing, and now you have your assembly.